2010 to 2015, I believe. This is a 2012 Prius V. And I've noticed months back that in the rear of this motor, it had an oil leak, and it drastically got more and more. So you would have to put maybe half a quart to a quart in it every week. That's fine. I mean, if you deal with Hondas and Toyotas, you just put oil in it and you can just keep driving it. Well, in the past 3 or 4 days, I noticed that in the morning, this is my mom's car. I noticed in the morning that the motor is knocking real bad, and I was like, great, because she came home one time and told me that the car was doing something. So I checked the oil, and there was no oil at all on the dipstick. So I went into maybe something like the rod, like the cylinder had no oil, no lubrication, so it been a rod or blah blah blah. But it recently just started knocking, so I did some research and I learned to find out that this year model Prius blows head gaskets like it's nobody's business. I mean, you'll go on YouTube and just bam, 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 find all these things of put this head gasket, stuff in your radiator and it will seal it up. Yeah, that's I never really like to add additives unless if it's in the fuel tank for a diesel or fuel treatment for gas. I mean, other than that, I don't like any kind of gasket seal liquid that you put in, because it might last for 3 months and then after that you got the same problem again. So I've watched enough videos and I think I'm able to do it. It's just I'm having a hard time finding like a parts list of what I need. I do know that I'm going to go with a Felpro head gasket. I'm going to get new head bolts. And then I'm looking for different O-rings that I need to buy. Like trying to find a parts list of what I need to replace for the timing part. And also in like the valve and the head part. I do know for the valve cover, I can put Gasket Maker, which it looks like they got it here, but some things online shows like an O-ring, so I'm kind of confused about that. But I've watched a YouTube page called Let's Drift Media, I think it's called. He did a good video on head gasket replacement. And then also a YouTube page called Gasket Makers or something like that. I think that's what it's called. So I'm basically taking those two videos and trying to do it in my own way. I think I might do like how Let's Drift kept the EGR and the header on and pulled the head out with that. And then I was going to do some kind of like camshaft where I left it in there, but I might work around that and do that. I'm just going to take those two videos and learn what I can and then take it off. It's not as hard as you think. Like if you've done mechanic work and gone into the motor, it's not that hard. It's just I've never done this car, this motor, so everything's new. But once you do it, or especially for me, once I do it one time and I come back, like reassembly is pretty simple. So all I'm gonna do is take all the head parts off, set it on this cart, and not mix match a lot of stuff. Like if something's on the left side here, I'm gonna put it back on the left side. And also for parts list, I'm gonna get new spark plugs. All right, this part takes a little while. I'm trying to disconnect the harness here. The plugs in the very back is really rough. I think it was the O2 sensor that I was messing with. That was really a pain. But once you get everything to like this side where the EGR is at, you can basically just fold it right over here and then set it up to where you can focus more on the valve cover. Alright, as of right now, I'm draining all the fluids. So coolant, oil, coolant, oil. take off. So I got all this carbon built up. I'm about to take a vacuum and get all these leaves and junk out of here, but yeah, when you work on newer cars, you need to clean out the intakes and everything else, especially that EGR, because that EGR is filthy. So let's put EGRs on all these motors and have a cleaner atmosphere, but a horrible motor. It's amazing. I'm gonna show you how bad these spark plugs are. Alright, so here's the spark plugs. This is the one here that was on cylinder 1 that was misfiring, I believe. But it's had coolant to sit on it and kind of rusted it out some. But you can see as the spark even came up the spark plug too. So yeah, these are long overdue to be changed. I just got done taking all the bolts out of the timing chain cover, and I just used my Pittsburgh flat bar to pry it off. Put it right in here, pop that off, and then I put it right there and pop the back side off. And then she broke loose, so I should be able to pull it on out. Like so. And looking from this back side, it looks like my oil leak was coming from the timing chain. What's it called? Timing chain tensioner that goes right here to 210 mils. And I think the gasket worn out, and it could have been leaking down in here too. It's kind of hard to truly tell. So here's where I'm at with the car. I've gotten this laid out. It's mainly what I know, like the water pump, oil filter, and then the timing chain cover with the harmonic balancer there. These were the bolts for the very top. I think these went to the wipers. And then I have the cam rack here. Kept the 12 mil bolts in these. And then these are the rocker rollers that go on top of the caps of the valve springs. And then I've got the valve cover, intake, the passenger side motor mount, and then my coil packs. now I can get to finishing the Prius. So parts wise, I already did the throttle here. So what I did was I took the throttle body. Can't really see it, but I took the throttle body off of the intake manifold, cleaned it out, flushed it out. I did not clean the intake plenum because I didn't feel like messing with the map sensor here. So I didn't clean the plenum, but it should be fine. I did flush out this EGR pipe right here, and I had to make sure that I got a new gasket. This one seems fine, but it does have carbon buildup and then some of the gaskets going on it. So I mean, the gaskets are cheap, and I ordered everything through Rock Auto. So this is one gasket that I'm not going to use, so that's a return. That one's for that pipe. And then I got my water pump gasket. This is for the oil. So those O-rings go to this oil filter bracket here, and that's on the block of the motor. So that's where these O-rings go. And then this is going to be a return because this is the intake gasket and then your throttle body gasket. This is not the style of the throttle body gasket here, so this is going to be returned because I have another intake gasket that I'm going to use. And then I did get an air filter, but today I've got 4 more parts coming. This is the gasket for the pipe. It looks identical to this one with the little 4 slits that go over the cap. So these are the parts that I'm working with. And then I did get new head stud bolts. I didn't get washers. I had a hard time finding washers, so I'm just gonna use the old ones. I'd rather use the washers than use the head bolts that I pulled out. So I'm supposed to have 4 parts coming today, and that would be the head gasket and some other small miscellaneous gaskets, and then I can get everything back together. But wire wheel to the head of the top of the head, I still need to clean the bottom, but I can't really do that because I still have a little bit of gas in this line, and I still got coolant and oil that's inside of here too. And I also ordered 2 gaskets for this too, or O-rings, and everything else pretty much ready to go. Got my rocker rollers. Here's the washers here, and then my old head stud bolts. So, and for the Prius, I did go ahead and clean off the block. So I have the block ready to go. Set the head gasket on it, put a little FIPG Toyota packing right in these sections here, I think it is. I'll have to re-look at it, but I think it goes right here and then right there. And then I'll go ahead and put the head on it, then I can start working on all the other stuff.
Choose your fighter. Lightning inspired. Fight.
All right. Got the timing chain cover on. Got all the bolts, got the water pump on. And I've got everything from the block to the head put on, bolted on. So now I just got to do the valve cover and the intake, and then get all the wiring harness, and then put fluids in it, and then it would be good to go. All right, guys, I haven't recorded much. I've been really just focused, and I've been using my phone to play music, but yeah, I pretty much got it. I've got almost everything tied in: the motor mount, valve cover, spark plugs, coil packs, fill line. Just trying to butt up every single electrical connection, and vacuum hose and EGR. Don't forget the PCV valve. And my knees are about to give out from leaning over this bumper. I think if this is easy to get out, I would definitely recommend taking that out. That way you can get into the car more. But I just put the filter down. Next will be the cover for the hose for the throttle right there. And then I don't know, just tidy up everything. It's gotten late, so I'm getting pretty slow, and I'm trying my best to get the car finished so I can hear it run and see if I did everything right or not. So alrighty, got everything put back together. So now I'm about to put some fluids in it, meaning radiator fluid and oil. I've got to change the oil filter, and I'm just gonna run distilled water through the coolant system at first, because I'm gonna let the car run for a while and drive on it. I don't know if I'm gonna drive on it or not, but I'm gonna do just another flush of the system, and then put oil and actual Toyota antifreeze in it, and then the car should be good. Alright, just got done draining the coolant that I put in there, and I ran the car for a while, drained the coolant, and then I just put Toyota coolant 50/50 with distilled water. And this is what a gallon and a half up to 2 gallons of just nothing but distilled water ran through the system. As you can see, it still had antifreeze in it, so it gives it like a pink type because the Toyota coolant is red. And I did have a little bit of particles, little bitty black specks like trash to come into the coolant. That's why I wanted to do a flush. I'm gonna do the same thing with the oil also, but I've got the Prius back in maintenance mode, and I'm gonna let this coolant cycle through because this actually has the Toyota coolant. So this is what a 50/50 looks like here. As you can see, it's really red, even with a 50/50 mix of distilled water. And this is what I buy here, Toyota Long Life Antifreeze coolant, a whole gallon of just the coolant. Don't pay for the water. You can pay just $1 for distilled water. You can get it from Food Line or Walmart. But the car seems to be doing pretty good. Alright guys, I have 0 leaks on the Prius, but I do have this, which is also from the old leak. Not the old, but the old leak. And I thought that was the timing chain tensioner gasket. I've got that replaced. There's no oil around the tensioner. So, yeah. There's an oil pressure sensor. Try to get it to where you can see it. This guy right here. Right there. Now it's not leaking around the threads. It's leaking in the sensor itself. So I've got a sensor that I picked up from Advance Auto, and I'm gonna see if that fixes. But I'm gonna try to get it on video of me taking this plug off and see if oil comes out of this plug or not. Nope, but it's gotta be where it's coming from. And the reason why I noticed this is because I was cycling the coolant and I looked underneath the car and I saw a puddle. And I said, where is that coming from? And that's what it is. So I just got a cheap CarQuest sensor. I'm gonna put some FIPG around the threads and then screw it into the block and then give that a try. But also you need to brake clean that connector, and then hopefully this solves the oil leak. no lights. And this Prius has 220,000 miles. Alright, and for the Prius, I did exchange the ABS pump and the massive cylinder because the ABS pump, hold on a second. The ABS pump did keep running and it kept cycling because it had a leak inside of the system. That's what I could configure about why it kept running and running, because it would, if you go back in the video, you can hear the pump, which is that silver piece right there with the tag on it. It's kind of hard to see because they cram everything together. That's why it's really nice to take the wiper cowl off. But anyways, master cylinder's back there on the firewall. ABS pump is down below it. Really easy to get to. Hardest part is just disconnecting the brake lines and then reinstalling everything, and that's pretty much it. But when you do change the ABS pump, you will have to use a scan tool to recalculate for the brake pedal, and I'll show you how to do that on my scan tool. But other than that, motor's been running fine. Coolant level looks great, and the back of the motor, I have 0 leaks as of right now, so seems like that oil pressure sensor did work. So what I think it's doing is communicating with the ECU right now so it can get all the information, and then I can go through the bleeding. I'm not going to bleed the system. I'm just going to show you what to select when you're doing the scan tool bleeding. It's very simple. Don't let anybody try to tell you that doing a scan tool brake bleeding is hard or it takes time. I do know with these hybrid brakes, you will have, for the rear brakes, you'll just open the bleeder and let the pump cycle. The pump will just keep running because you've opened up the bleeder. Let the brake fluid come out. I would say 5 to 6 seconds, close the bleeder, and then go check your reservoir to see if check your fluid level, and then do it until you feel confident that you don't have any air in that brake line. And then when you move to the front, you will have to manually bleed the brakes for the front. So just like a normal vehicle, you will have to pump. I normally do 3 to 4 pumps and then hold, open the bleeder, and then close the bleeder, take the foot off the brake, and then I'll do that until I get a good steady fluid without having air in it. All right, let's see what this is. TR. No, this is not a Hilux. finish bleeding the front brakes, then you'll need to go into the scan tool, and this is only if you actually replace the ABS pump. And then you'll need to let the scan tool readjust. There's a valve inside, or it has to deal with the actual brake pedal with the master cylinder, and the scan tool will bleed out that system for it. And once I'm able to get it onto the scan tool, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, went and got the key fob, and now I am connected to the car. So I'm just going to do a system selection. Then I'm going to, let's see, I need to do special functions. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, this is where it's at here. But you can get to the same thing with the special functions. Let's see if it's got any codes. No codes. Sweet. Special functions. This is what I love about this scan tool. Okay. You've got your ECB here and your air bleeding. So okay, it will show you usual air bleeding, and then ABS actuator, ABS pump has been replaced. And this is what you will need to do. And once you click continue, but anyways, I don't know what that was about. Maybe it knew that I already bled it, but that is what you have to reset right there. Your linear valve offset and pressure holding solenoid valve learning. So when you replace the ABS pump, you will need a scan tool to relearn this here. And all it does is after you bleed the brakes, like I said before, come into here and it will reset it for you. It's very simple. You have to do nothing. If you have bled the rear and the fronts, you let this scan tool bleed that system, that solenoid valve. It will say this and that. I'm trying to make sure that I don't bleed it because I don't need it done, but I'm trying to show you exactly what it goes through. Okay. But it will do all this, and then it will, you'll hear pressure go bzzz, and it lasts for about 10 seconds. You'll click OK, then it will do it again. Click OK, it will do it again, and then it will tell you that you're done. But that would basically do it for this video. I took some time on this car, replacing the head gasket, and then I also needed to replace the ABS pump, and I figured while I'm changing the pump, I need to also do the master cylinder, just in case if that leak inside got into the master cylinder itself. So you might as well just replace it all while you're there. So I did those three, and she's been driving the car for a couple of weeks now, and it's been doing great. And I have noticed that it's getting better gas mileage and it runs better. It's actually a lot quieter now because the motor and the hybrid battery works in sync, so the motor will turn off and use more electricity than it would do before, because the ABS light and a whole bunch of other stuff was on this car, and it had check engine codes. And then it also had coolant leaking in the cylinders. So that wasn't good. But my Instagram is TW's Garage, and then you can also message me on YouTube or whatever if you have questions. I did a lot of research on these Priuses. This is a third generation, and the third generation I know because I've worked on it now, but there isn't a whole lot of research and a whole lot of DIY stuff for these Priuses. But I have learned a lot, and if you have questions, you can, send me a message or comment, and I'll try to do my best to help you guys out, because Toyota is going to charge almost nearly $10,000, and I think I have $2,000 in parts for this. So, yep. And I also had another Prius the other day to come. She thought she had a timing cover leak, but the leak is so small that I couldn't find out the smoking gun where it was coming from. So I told her it has to get worse before I can, pinpoint which sensor or the gasket is leaking. And Toyota was going to charge her $3,000 to replace the timing cover gasket. If she parks her car on the concrete, you'll see no oil spots. So the leak is very, very tiny. Just something for the dealership to make some money. Probably ain't even the timing cover gasket. But they were trying to get $3,000 out of her. I told her nothing to worry about. I would check your oil dipstick, weekly. If you start losing oil, call me. But until then, I see nothing wrong with this car. So that's what she's doing now. I'm gonna step inside. But that just goes to show you that you've got to be careful. And I've always called the dealerships the stealerships. Nothing against them, but they're after your money. I mean, that's literally their job. Sell you the vehicle and then keep you in there. Other than that, they don't have a job. So yep, if you have any questions, just leave a comment or get in contact with me. My Instagram is TW's Garage, and Facebook would be Trey Wales. So anything else, just let me know.